Cold, calculated, and unapologetically ruthless, Oswald Mosley stands out as one of the most ruthless characters in the Peaky Blinders series. But who is he really? What makes him tick, and why does he pose such a dangerous threat to Tommy Shelby and his empire? Today we're peeling back the layers of Oswald Mosley, diving deep into his motivations, his methods, and the real-life history of Mosley that makes him one of the more formidable villains in Peaky Blinders. Section 1, Introduction to Oswald Mosley. Mosley, brought to life by talented actor Sam Claflin, makes his entrance in Season 5 of Peaky Blinders during one of the most turbulent periods in British history, 1929, the year of the Great Depression. He is introduced not just as a politician, but as a charismatic, bold and unapologetic, ambitious figure with aspirations that reach beyond Parliament. From his very first appearance, it's clear that Mosley is a different kind of threat for Tommy Shelby. We've seen Tommy face police, gangsters and very dangerous antagonists in previous seasons, but Mosley offers a new level of political threat to the character. When Tommy Shelby first meets Mosley, there's an immediate clash of ideologies. Mosley makes it clear that he is not interested in simply winning elections or playing by the rules. He declares his disdain for the established political order and expresses his intention to bring out a radical transformation. Politics, he says, is merely a means to an end. His end, however, is something darker: fascism and control over Britain. In this sense, Peaky Blinders stays true to the real historical figure. The real Oswald Mosley was a British politician who started as a member of Parliament, but quickly became disillusioned with mainstream politics. He founded the British Union of Fascists in 1932, becoming a symbol of British fascism and a divisive figure in the country's history. The show doesn't shy away from these truths. Instead, it uses them to build a version of Mosley who's authentic to the real character. Section 2, Mosley's charisma and manipulative nature. One of Mosley's most compelling traits is his uncanny charisma. He understands the power of words and knows exactly how to deliver them. Whether he's addressing a massive rally or engaging in private negotiations, Mosley exudes confidence, charm, and an almost hypnotic ability to sway people. For instance, in the scene where he delivers a rousing speech to a packed hall, he speaks with a cadence and passion that is both captivating and chilling. The camera captures his intensity, his eyes looking onto the audience, drawing them in like moths to a flame. But this charm is just a mask for his manipulative core. Take the scene where Mosley and Tommy meet in private for the first time. Mosley doesn't just talk, he probes, he tests, he pushes Tommy's buttons. He mocks Tommy's intelligence subtly, praises his ambition, but also hints at his weaknesses. Mosley knows exactly how to manipulate those around him, using flattery, intimidation and psychological games. His ability to project an aura of power and unpredictability makes him a formidable adversary, one who doesn't need to resort to physical violence to assert dominance. Section 3. The real Oswald Mosley vs Peaky Blinders Mosley. The portrayal of Oswald Mosley in Peaky Blinders is very similar to the real historical figure in several ways. Just like on screen, the real Mosley was known for his oratory skills and his ability to captivate and manipulate a crowd. The speeches shown in the series, with Mosley rallying his supporters with passionate rhetoric and nationalist fervour, mirror real-life footage of Mosley addressing his followers. The show's depiction of his rise, his formation of the British Union of Fascists, and his flirtation with fascism are all rooted in reality. The political strategies Mosley employs in the show, from forming alliances with powerful figures to manipulating public opinion, closely resembles his real-life tactics. The real Mosley also sought to align himself with controversial figures, including political alliances with fascist leaders across Europe. His attempt to recruit influential allies, just as he tries with Tommy Shelby in the series, reflects his actual political manoeuvring to gain power by any means necessary. Peaky Blinders accurately captures Mosley's ambition, his methods, and his unyielding belief in his ideology, making him one of the most authentic characters in the series. In the end, the show's portrayal of Oswald Mosley isn't just a fictional antagonist, it's a haunting echo of a real-life figure whose ambitions, tactics, and charisma brought him to the forefront of one of the darkest periods in British political history. His presence in Peaky Blinders serves as a stark reminder that the line between history and fiction can often be thin, and the shadows of the past can linger into the present. Section 4. His psychological game with Tommy Shelby. Mosley's real strength lies in his ability to play psychological games with his co-workers and friends. He sees himself not just as Tommy's opponent, but as his superior. In several scenes, he needles Tommy about his connections, his past, and even his mental state. For example, during a confrontation at the charity dinner in Season 5, Mosley taunts Tommy with his knowledge of the private affairs and the Shelby Company's vulnerabilities. He suggests that Tommy is losing control, hinting at his weakness and planting seeds of doubt. In another scene, Mosley casually mentions Tommy's suicidal tendencies, exposing his psychological insight. He states, "I know you, Shelby. I know you better than you know yourself." This is Mosley's strategy: to undermine Tommy's confidence, to make him second-guess his every move, and ultimately to break him. Not just a battle of power, but a battle of war of the minds. His psychological warfare adds a new dimension to the show. We've seen Tommy face off with multiple antagonists, including gangsters, rivals, and even the IRA, but Mosley is different. He's a politician with a Machiavellian mindset who uses fear, manipulation, and ideology as his weapons. What makes Mosley such a good villain is the fact that he's the only villain that Tommy tried to take down but failed. Every other villain Tommy managed to out-strategize and always gain the upper hand, whereas when Tommy tries to take down Mosley at the end of Season 5, he failed and even gets outsmarted by Mosley multiple times in Series 6. This builds up hype to the Peaky Blinders movie, where I predict Mosley will also be an antagonist there, but we have yet to confirm this. Section 5. Mosley's ideology and motivations. The core of Mosley's character is a rigid ideology, fascism. Unlike many of the criminals in the series, Mosley's actions aren't driven by money or revenge, but a deep belief in authoritarian rule and racial purity. He views the existing democratic system as weak, corrupt, and incapable of solving Britain's problems. This is evident in the scene where he tells Tommy, "The days of old men running the country are over. We need young blood and new direction." But what's truly chilling about Mosley is that his belief in fascism isn't just a political stance, it's a personal crusade. In several scenes we see him trying to recruit Tommy, not just as a political ally, but a fellow believer. He appeals to Tommy with his own desires for power, suggesting that they could rule together, with Tommy running the north and Mosley the south. This ideological fever makes him unpredictable and dangerous. He's not just playing the game for short-term gains, but a radical long-term vision. And this is where the true danger lies. Mosley isn't just a corrupt politician, he's a zealot with the means and the will to reshape Britain in his own image. His disdain for embellishment, coupled with his persuasive oratory skills, makes him a character who can't be easily dismissed or ignored. You see this in a lot of scenes between Tommy and Mosley. Oftentimes where they're either talking, negotiating, or any kind of dialogue scene, there is always a big power dynamic where Mosley seems to get the upper hand. Section 6. Mosley's impact on the Peaky Blinders universe. Mosley's presence in Peaky Blinders acts as a catalyst for the story's escalation. His arrival forces Tommy Shelby to step into political arena fully, transforming him from a crime boss to a political operator, someone who now has to navigate the murky waters of 1930s British politics. In one scene we see Tommy reluctantly agreeing to collaborate with Winston Churchill to counter Mosley's influence, a move that places him in a dangerous position caught between government interests and his criminal activities. His impact is felt across the Shelby family. Arthur struggles with his demons, Polly grows more suspicious of Tommy's motives, and Michael attempts to seize control of the family business, believing Tommy has lost his way. Mosley's presence pushes the Shelbys to their breaking point, testing their loyalties, their unity, and their very purpose. As Mosley grows in power, so does Tommy's paranoia. The stakes are higher than ever, and the line between ally and enemies become increasingly blurred. This forces Tommy into a corner, driving him to take the risks he never would have considered before. Mosley therefore isn't just an antagonist, he's a force that reshapes the entire narrative, pushing every character to their limits. There's no doubt Oswald Mosley is one of the best characters in Peaky Blinders, but looking online there are mixed opinions on the character. People do mostly like the character, but there are a few critiques of the character as well. Some things fans and critics liked of the character were: number 1 is performance by Sam Claflin. Claflin's performance was highly praised, and in my opinion I think he executed the character perfectly. Claflin is an amazing actor and I've seen him do multiple roles as well, so I definitely think they casted the right actor for this character. He hits the nail on the head when it comes to the character's body language, the way he speaks, his confidence and his overall aura. Another thing people really liked about Mosley was his complexity and psychological depth. Now, people love Tommy Shelby because of his complexity and psychological depth, but it was very refreshing to see another character in the series with the same type of mindset as Tommy and the same type of depth. Unlike previous villains who are more driven by straightforward motives and were more one-dimensional. Moses' character wasn't motivated by just money, revenge or power. He had a clear political agenda rooted in fascism, which separated apart from other villains in the series. I also think because the character was based on a real-life person, it added a sense of authenticity in Oswald's character. It made Moses' character feel even more sinister because his actions and ambitions had real-world consequences. This was a new kind of adversary for Tommy. Unlike other enemies who could be dealt with by using tactics like violence or blackmail, Mosley presented more of a political challenge for Tommy, and this was refreshing for a lot of fans, and a lot of fans really liked this. The political intrigue and the battle of wits between Tommy and Mosley brought a new dimension to the show, moving it beyond the fines of violence and crime drama. There was a few critiques of Moses' character, mainly being that he didn't have that much screen time in season 5 and 6, so fans felt like they were left a bit short in terms of seeing Moses' full wrath. And also there was a bit of a lack of physical conflict, which some critiques picked up on, of Mosley. And even though I guess that was the point of the character, to make him more of a political opponent, fans did find they lacked the thrill that they found in earlier seasons of Peaky Blinders with more action-based characters. Overall, Oswald Mosley was well received by the majority of Peaky Blinders fans and critics. They viewed him as an intriguing, realistic and unsettling addition to the series, who added a unique layer of political and psychological complexity to the story. While there were some criticisms of Oswald Mosley, personally I thought he was the best villain in Peaky Blinders and one of the best characters throughout the whole series, and I hope we do see him make a return in the Peaky Blinders movie. For me, he provided some of the best scenes throughout the whole show and was a breath of fresh air to the show. Let me know your thoughts on Oswald Mosley in the Peaky Blinders series, what you thought of his character and his impact on the Peaky Blinders universe. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching.